Hello, my name is John Heron. I have been teaching chess to children for 10 years. I have put all of my lessons into a new book entitled Total Chess: Learn, Teach, and Play the Easy 1-2-3 Way. You can use this book to teach chess even if you don't already know how to play chess yourself. You can learn as you go along with your students. You don't need to be a strong chess player to teach chess, but you do need to be a strong teacher. I have found that children will be enthusiastic about chess if you are enthusiastic about chess. Children are hungry for knowledge. They like to learn. We just need to find teachers who like to teach. With Total Chess, anyone can be a chess teacher. Total Chess provides all the lessons you need to teach chess. It covers everything: rules, strategies, tactics, and checkmates. A whole new approach to chess has been developed where everything can be learned and remembered in sets of 3. The rules of chess are arranged into sets of 3. 3 simple strategies are presented for the opening, mid-game, and end-game. Chess tactics are categorized into related groups of 3. 3 hints are given to help you find checkmates, and there is much, much more. Total Chess contains about 175 lessons, including 75 lessons designed for teaching a chess class. Each lesson is brief and covers one concept in simple language everyone can read and understand. Although this book is aimed at beginners, every chess player can benefit from this new 1-2-3 approach to chess. Whether your goal is to learn chess, play better chess, or teach chess to others, this is the book for you. Total Chess is organized into 6 major sections: rules, opening, mid-game, end-game, tactics, and checkmates. The rules section has everything you need to know to begin playing chess. The rules include documentation, tournaments, and teaching chess to others. The opening section includes basic strategies, plans, typical mistakes, traps, and pawn centers. There is also an overview of book openings and the ideas behind them. The mid-game section includes strategies, plans, piece maneuvers, pawn play, piece play, and positional play. There are lessons on strong and weak pawns, pawn breaks, outpost squares, weak squares, open files, queen sacrifices, king attacks, and the 3 elements of positional play: space, time, and material. The endgame section includes strategies, plans, piece endgames, pawn endgames, piece and pawn endgames, and making a draw. It also contains a very thorough and well-organized collection of endgame studies. The tactics section categorizes all chess tactics into 8 related groups of 3: direct tactics, dynamic tactics, discovered tactics, double tactics, decoy tactics, deflection tactics, defensive tactics, and delay tactics, and also introduces a new tactic called Nachzügler. This organized approach to tactics will benefit even the most advanced player. The checkmate section provides helpful hints for finding checkmates and gives positions at 3 different levels for beginner, intermediate, and advanced players. All of the lessons are clearly presented with simple examples, making them easy to read and understand. There is also an appendix listing all of the 1-2-3 strategies, important quotes, and an index. Total Chess is truly a complete guide to chess. Now, what I would like to do is present one of the lessons from Total Chess. This lesson is from section 2.1, and it is called Opening Strategy. This is a beginner level lesson. So let's begin. A chess game starts with the opening. There are 3 strategies you should use to begin all of your chess games. These strategies apply to every player and to every game. The first strategy is to develop your pieces. Develop your pieces means to get them off the back row so you can use them to attack and defend. They do not do much good sitting on their original starting squares. You need to bring them out and put them on squares where they are more useful. This makes your pieces more powerful. You will need to make a few pawn moves to get your pieces out. Without some pawn moves, the only pieces you are able to develop are your knights. But do not make too many pawn moves, or you will be neglecting your other developing moves. The second strategy is to control the center. The center is the most important part of the chessboard. When you develop your pieces, put them in the center of the board or on squares that attack the center. When your pieces are in the center, they can get to any part of the board quickly and easily to help you attack and defend. You should also use your pawns to control the center. Having one or two pawns in the center greatly increases your control of the center. Center pawns attack key squares and limit the opponent's control of the center. It is very important to control the center of the board. Whoever controls the center of the board controls the whole board. Where is the center of the board? Well, the main center is the four squares D4, D5, E4, and E5. These are the four most important squares, but they are not the whole center. There is not enough room on these four squares for all of your pieces. The full center is the 16 squares between C3, C6, F3, and F6. The third opening strategy is to castle your king. Castling makes your king safe. With all of the pieces moving to the center of the board, do you want to leave your king in the center? No. It is too easy to attack there. Castling gets your king away from the center and over to the side of the board where it is safer. Castling also helps to develop your rooks. It gets one of them out of the corner and toward the center, so you can use it to attack and defend. It also connects your rooks so they protect each other and control the back rank. After you castle, try not to move the pawns in front of your king, unless you have to. The pawns help shield and protect your king from attack. Every time you move one of these pawns, you weaken your king a little bit. One pawn move is not bad, but too many pawn moves will expose your king and make it easier to attack. Now, how do you know when you are done with the opening? You are done with the opening and ready for the mid-game when you have done all three things you are supposed to do. You have developed your pieces, except the rooks, which usually stay on the back row until the mid-game. You have controlled the center by putting your pieces in the center or on squares that attack the center. And you have castled your king to make your king safe and to connect your rooks. Now we will play over a typical opening to see how you use these strategies. Many different moves will be tried, and you will learn how to decide if a move is a good move or a bad move in the opening. White could begin the game by playing pawn to h3. But this does not develop a piece, and it does not control the center. Instead, white will begin the game pawn to e4. This attacks squares d5 and f5 and lets out white's queen and white's bishop. Now, black could play pawn to a5, but he cannot develop his rook to a6 because it could be captured by white's bishop. So instead, black will play pawn to e5, again to control the center squares d4 and f4, and to let out black's queen and black's bishop. White could play knight to h3. This develops a piece, but it is not toward the center. Instead, white will play knight to f3 to develop a piece, control the center, and attack black's pawn on e5. Black could play pawn to f6 to protect the pawn, but it does not develop a piece, and it weakens black's king. Instead, black will play knight to c6 to develop a piece, control the center, and protect his pawn on e5. Now, white could play bishop to e2, but this does not bring the bishop out far enough. It is not in the center. Instead, white will play bishop to c4 to develop the bishop in the center and get both pieces out of the way so he's ready to castle. Black could play pawn to d6, but this blocks in the bishop on f8. It is better to develop this bishop first. So black will play bishop to c5 to develop the bishop and control the center. Now it looks like black has just copied white's last move. Is this a good strategy, the copycat strategy? Well, sometimes it is, and sometimes it is not. How do you know if it's a good strategy? Well, if white makes a good move and black copies a good move, then it is a good strategy. But if white makes a bad move, does black want to copy a bad move? No, then it is not a good strategy. So how do you know if a move is a good move or a bad move? The only way is to think for yourself. Let's continue our game. White could play pawn to a3, but this does not develop a piece, and it is not in the center. Instead, white will play pawn to d3 to control the center and to allow his bishop on c1 to come out. Black could play knight to e7 to develop his knight, but again, it is not in the center. Instead, black will play knight to f6 to develop his knight toward the center and to get both pieces out of the way so he's ready to castle. Now, white could play knight from b1 to d2, but this blocks in his bishop on c1. Instead, white will play knight to c3 to develop a piece, control the center, and protect the pawn on e4 again. Black could play pawn to b6 to allow his bishop on c8 to get developed. But instead, he will play pawn to d6 to allow his bishop on c8 to develop toward the center. Okay? This also protects his pawn on e5 again. Sometimes it is good to overprotect a piece. White could play knight to d5, but he has already developed this knight. Instead, white will play bishop to g5 to develop his bishop and attack black's knight. Black cannot move this knight, or he will lose his queen. His knight blocks the attack by white's bishop. This is called a pin tactic. Black's knight is pinned down and it cannot move. So black will play bishop to e6 to develop his bishop in the center. In this position, white does not want to trade bishops. So white will play bishop to b5 to attack black's knight on c6. Again, black cannot move this knight, or he will be in check by white's bishop. This knight is also pinned down and it cannot move. So black will play queen to d7, getting ready to castle queenside. Now both players take time to castle their kings. White castles kingside, black castles queenside. This makes their kings safe and helps to develop the rooks. Now white wants to develop his queen. It is best not to bring your queen out too early or too far. White will play queen to d2 to develop his queen and connect his two rooks, protecting the back rank. The rooks almost always stay on the back rank until the mid-game. The opening is now over, and the position is ready for the mid-game. Both players have developed their pieces, controlled the center, and castled their kings. I hope you've enjoyed this brief introduction to Total Chess. If you could have only one book on chess, Total Chess is the book you should have. Whether your goal is to learn chess, play better chess, or teach chess to others, Total Chess is the book for you. Thank you.